All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube. This is Pastor Dowell. Let me go ahead and try to do my best to bring some clarification, speak to you exactly about what I believe is going on in South Africa. I believe, and please try to listen to me for a second, because what I'm going to say, I realize how unorthodox I sound. I realize that here in America is that whatever news the mainstream news media reports, and however they report it, you assume that it's truth. You even assume that it's truthful just because they interview someone. And it's utterly amazing what's going on in this world today. I've been on YouTube for quite some time now, speaking about social, political, economic perspectives and religious point of views. I have been doing everything that I can, all that I can, with all the knowledge and the sincerity of heart that I have, to inform you and to tell you the truth about what's going on in this world. I've also done my due diligence over the years to make sure so that you don't be deceived about what's really truly going on. Now, we do have a great shift going on, both naturally and spiritual, in this world right now. And one thing that is very disturbing is how that we pick and choose sources that we think we trust. Matter of fact, I'm gonna put it like this: we know we trust, but we never, ever, ever assume that those sources that we have made an agreement with to trust could be the very ones that are actually instrumental in both our natural and spiritual deaths. I want to talk about South Africa here this morning and use it as a model of what I have been talking about concerning all the warrantless wars that has been going on with the United States of America. Again, those of us that are in the know, we realize exactly what's going on. I've always said, I have always said this is about resources. I also said that the New World Order is going to be using racism as a tool to try to stimulate some type of uprising and upheaval. And that most people are too blind to see it, because when their emotions run so high, and when emotions do run so high, people lose all reasoning, and it's hard to have any reasoning at all if you've never even exercised any autonomy in the first place. The globalists are doing what they can to make sure that the world is in chaos. And of course, the motto is order out of chaos. I got something else I want to drop on you here real quick, and then we'll go back to South Africa. You remember how I used to hold up this little Zimbabwe $1 trillion note, and how myself and J. Snip 4 and a few other people would show how people would just take wheelbarrows and wheelbarrows of Zimbabwe dollars and couldn't buy nothing with it. Trillions of dollars worth, couldn't buy nothing in it because the economy is all bad. And we showed you how that it took 1/10 of an ounce of gold. That means people were actually panning in the creeks to get 1/10 ounce of gold years ago just in order to buy a loaf of bread. Well, guess what? We haven't heard this on CNBC. We have not heard this from the mainstream news media. We have not heard this from any of the economic resources at all. But I just found out through sources that Zimbabwe, even though it's almost literally a ghost town right now, because the majority of the Zimbabweans have actually moved into South Africa. I've learned that now if you go to Zimbabwe, if you go to a bank, guess what currency you're going to receive if you do any exchanging of funds? The US dollar. My question is how did Zimbabwe, and I'm going to throw a funny in here for a second, become the 51st state? Think about that for a second. Leaders have been overthrown. Leaders have died. All of a sudden. Does anybody remember Yasser Arafat? I don't think a lot of people remember Yasser Arafat. Remember the Oslo Peace Accords? I know I may be talking well past many of you now, and I know that we have an uncanny ability in this time we're living in now to not care about nothing but our own pleasures and what's going on today. And then, of course, we repeat the same mistake. The people who don't know history, they are destined to repeat the same mistakes of the past. But anyway, what's going on in South Africa right now is that there's a land grab, and they're using racism to divide that particular sector of the country. And of course, depending on what melanin or non-melanin you have in your skin, that's how usually people vote or pick a side. It depends on what face they put up here in front of the camera without really truly looking at what's really truly taking place and what's really happening. I believe a sad situation that has happened place, and it is still happening place, is that we are so emotionally disturbed and deceived that we don't even realize it. Under Nelson Mandela, when they went through apartheid had ended up being over, he gets out of prison and he ends up becoming the president of the country. They went in and actually took 4,000 residents' land. And you know what that residential land is doing right now that they took? Sitting dormant. Also, do you know what's happening right now in South Africa? South Africa has become the model of what's getting ready to happen to everybody in the world. They're destabilizing the whole entire country, and people and the government is after the lands, and they're pitting one people against another people. And by the time the news media gets up here in front of you, they present it as racism. And of course, they stick people up here who are uninformed, and they try to, and of course, what's going on right now is that the whites in South Africa are allegedly experiencing what the blacks in this country have been experiencing ever since the Europeans came over here and occupied and colonized the land. And of course, they're being overthrown, and now they're taking up arms, and they're saying they're going to shoot and they're going to kill anybody who try to come and take their land. The truth of what's really going on is that the government is in a land grab, and they're making sure that there's no food to be produced. And I've told you, and if I said it once, I said it 1,000 times, that food is going to be the main controlling issue of the New World Order. Why the hell you think they're spraying us with all these chemtrails? And how all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we end up with all these viral infections and carry on, and by the time fruit begins to ripen and stuff, it gets to a certain stage and then it rots on the trees. I mean, just here, Straightway, we haven't seen a peach, a literal peach, to come to its complete ripeness. I know it's probably been 10 years, 10 years. And I mean, I don't know if you can see it, but right over there, we try to do what we can, and we're going to throw up another greenhouse because I think that growing food under plastic is going to be the safest way to actually be able to grow food, and not only growing food, but to be able to eat. Because if they can't get us through the chemicals the way that they're doing it, and in the supermarkets, then they're going to do it through the air. They're doing it some way, somehow. But remember, there's a global agenda to reduce the population of the earth. And one way to do that is war. And of course, they're literally tearing the hell out of Iraq, Iran, Syria, Damascus, and all these other places. But let's get back over to South Africa before I digress. So now the country is being destabilized. Nobody's hardly producing any food. They're controlling everything by food. And what do you think they're going to use to control you? Land is freedom. Land gives you the ability to be able to produce with the labor of your hands, even if there wasn't any jobs out there, you would have the ability to be able to survive, providing you know how to farm. And most of you trust so much in this system that you can't even fathom being able to go out and live 1 year when the economy crashes without going to the supermarket. And you know what? The system knows that too. And being passive and sitting by and doing nothing, not learning how to grow a bean or planting vegetables, rearing cattle, they've got you trusted so much in it that if the trucks stop running to those supermarkets like a bunch of savages in close quarters, the people in the cities, not only will they start turning on each other, but humans will start to eat each other. The world is in very, very serious trouble because the few little people that are running this world has got everybody in a system, a systematic system of trusting in selected leaders that you call elected. And they have everybody in such a state of passivity that nobody believes that things are actually going to get bad simply because you can go to a movie theater or you can drive a car and pull up and get some gas, or you can just walk into a supermarket and you can get your own food in that storehouse rather than in the old time storehouse, the cellar, or storing food for yourself. It's pretty bad when I can clearly see that things have gone from bad to worse and it's not getting any better. It's really bad when you can't see it and you can't make moves. And of course, they also control people through the fear of religion. And of course, religion has just done gone all the pots today. That's why I suggest you just have a personal relationship with the Most High and learn, because no matter what you do in life, you're going to have somebody to guide you because we're not the sum of all wisdom of our own. I see America going the same way as Zimbabwe. I see it now. I see exactly what they're doing. They're stabilizing the country, turning people and pitting people against each other, just like I thought that they would. I don't think, and I have no confidence in whatsoever at all, that people are going to see it. I think they're going to fall for the agenda of the New World Order. And when it's all said and done, a lot of people are going to die. So for this purpose, that's why you need to be prepared. Because if people just can't see simple truths, like Sunday is not the Sabbath, never has been, never will be. The 7-day is. If they having a hard time just coming to the truth of believing that there's no such thing as Santa Claus. It used to be forbidden here in America. A rabbit don't lay eggs. Ain't no such thing as Easter. Jesus didn't rise on no Easter Sunday morning. You can't see that, then how can I expect for you to understand and start preparing your hearts and mind for what's getting ready to come? Well, get ready. Get ready for great tribulation, because they have the people exactly right what they want them. Dumb, dormant, docile, demonized, and demoralized, and religious as hell to the point to where you produce no fruit.